What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the lab. Today we're going to be doing a very impromptu video, which is probably the largest unboxing I think we've ever really done on this channel. I wouldn't really call this an unboxing normally, but so you're all familiar with the Z600 up here that has been featured on the channel multiple times. Well, I have purchased its, it's a spiritual successor, but not actually the Z600's spiritual successor, the Z800's spiritual successor. This is the latest and greatest of the Z line that shares that common chassis design. This is a Z840, but it is a bare bones system, meaning no CPUs, no RAM, no storage, no video card. So I will be supplying all of those. Not necessarily a bad thing, because most of these that you end up finding have pretty garbage tier processors in them, and the ones that don't are going for way too much. So I plan to spec it out with my own components, but we're going to see if it survived shipping, and hopefully it's in reasonably good condition. So let's crack into it. I do apologize for the lab being a total disaster, but I've been itching to open this guy up all day, so you get a crusty video of me slicing open the box instead of something that's well produced. But hey, wouldn't be this channel if it was well produced, eh? Well, I like what I'm seeing so far. That looks to be in very nice condition. Hopefully it's like that throughout the entire thing. I can already tell you, no, there's a bit of damage up at the top corner there. And a little bit down there. But nothing I can't live with. It's not in too bad a shape. So the worst part of it is this big scratch down here. But aside from that, it doesn't look too bad. Let's have a look on the inside. Pull the panel off. Yep, we've got our beautiful shrouds in here. Wow, this box absolutely stinks. This thing looks pretty nice inside. Let's see how this comes off. I think it just pulls straight up. I may be doing that incorrectly. This guy should just unlatch. Let's see, yep, like that. Yeah, I think we had to take that off first. Wow, look at the ducting there. It's a little bit dusty. Not too bad though. So I got this whole thing for about the price of a motherboard for one of these, so I'm pretty happy with that. Look at the cooling solution they've got going on in here. This is all just huge amounts of ducting. Really quite impressive. So this plastic shroud here is the most interesting part of the entire thing. Yeah, look at that madness. That's insane. You have 3 squirrel cage fans and 3 standard ones. Looks like 2 92 millimeters and a 50 maybe? 60 millimeter fans, not an 80. I think that's a 60 mil. And then these 2 weird looking coolers. Very interesting. You've got heat pipes going all over the place down in there. This thing is an absolute monster. So yeah, I guess I'll pull it out the rest of the way and see if the other side is in better or worse condition. Hopefully a little bit better. That side's a little bit beat up. A little bit disappointed there. I was hoping it was going to be in more like new condition, because the one they showed in the picture still had the plastic wrap on it, but was a seller with a bulk lot of these. So they did say that it may have minor scuffs and scratches. I would consider those maybe a little worse than minor, but not too bad. I'm going to need to turn off the camera to get this guy out of here because it's huge. Well, she's definitely not super pretty. It's got some fairly bad gouges really in it, especially in the back there. Something happened there. This side's got a few little nicks and dings in it. It's not terrible. Front looks okay. So, I mean, for the price I paid for it, it's not bad. So, I think this will clean up a little bit. There's some sticky goop on it and a little bit of junk I can clean off. But, yeah, I was hoping for a little bit better condition. That's pretty scratched up in the back there. But, hey, it's going to get the job done, I think. So, yeah, not going to complain too much, but would have liked to have seen it in a little bit better condition. It is the next day now, and yeah, this thing is basically comically heavy. So as you can see, I got the Z840 up here on the bench now. It's really not in too terrible of condition. The worst damage on the case are these scratches towards the back here. There's a pretty big gouge. It's nothing too horrible though, and I have found you can get replacement side panels for these, so if it bothers me enough, I could replace them or do some sort of custom paint job or something like that on it. And there's a little bit of damage on the plastic material, mainly in the back here. There's some scuffing and a few gouges, but probably from when it was kind of slid in somewhere, it looks like this is all kind of, yeah, something scraped across it at one point. So yeah, I'm guessing this was kind of shoved up against a wall or in behind somebody's desk or something. That's probably what caused all of that. But yeah, overall, it's in reasonably decent shape. And I'm not going to get too nitpicky about it because, well, it's just going to be my editing workstation, and as long as it functions, that's fine. So I'll show you what I've done so far. Unfortunately, we won't be able to power it up in this video because the RAM that I have is non-ECC. I did test it with a standard stick of just standard DDR4. It doesn't like it, so at least not the one that I was using. It was giving me the memory error code and would not power on or would not post. So that's kind of what I expected. Yeah, if we crack her open here, I have done a few minor changes. I've added a video card along with my 2 storage drives out of my old video editing workstation down there. That machine, while very powerful, is a little bit on the unreliable side. And I really wanted to get my hands on one of these higher end Z-series workstations. The Z600 has been great for me. I love that thing, but it's going on 11 years old at this point. So yeah, it's really getting pretty long in the tooth, and honestly, I don't really trust it that well anymore, especially under like high loads for rendering and things like that. I'm afraid I'm going to kill it, and at this point, I've got a bit of a sentimental connection to it because I've had it for so long. I think I'm going to keep it hooked up to a display over here in the corner, and I'll use it for working with well, these guys, because it's got native FireWire, so it's actually quite useful for these old iPods. So it's actually a little 4th gen photo that I picked up in a batch here. Got a video coming on those soon, so stay tuned for that. Already have it filmed, I just need to edit it down. Yeah, if we crack this guy open here, let's see, we've got, probably no surprise here, but we've got a GTX 980 in here, which has, I believe, been featured on the channel before. And then these guys, which are my 2 LSI warp drives, 1.86 terabytes apiece. And then the slightly jank cable that I made for them, which, I mean, it's done properly. It's just kind of not very nice looking. I'll probably tidy this up a little bit in here, but it does have a cover that goes over it, so it's fine. This just provides a little bit of extra cooling for those the heat sinks on the LSI warp drives. Probably not super necessary in here because we do have these 2 what are these, Nidec fans that blow air across this bay. So really debatable whether that's necessary or not. I'm gonna guess probably no. But yeah, I'm going to leave them on there anyway. Just, doesn't make that much noise. I mean, they're a little bit whiny. These fans can be a little bit irritating. But yeah, I don't mind it that bad. So we're just going to leave it there. Just better be safe than sorry. So that's going to give me about 3.5-ish terabytes of usable storage there. I'm most likely going to install Windows on 1, maybe Windows 11. We'll see how that goes if I can get it to work on this hardware. This is technically unsupported hardware, even though this thing supports up to 2 terabytes of RAM. And I don't even know how many cores. Like, I've ordered 2 14-core chips for this. So, yeah. Yeah, it definitely meets the minimum requirements to physically run it. Just Microsoft is being a bit... I have words for them, but I'm not going to use them here with Windows 11. And they have made me mad, but that's fine. So I'm probably going to put Windows on 1 and Ubuntu Budgie on the other, and just have these as 2 physically separate drives. I'm not going to dual boot it off the same drive. We'll just have the Grub bootloader on 1. That'll be the primary one. That'll have Linux on it, and then I can boot into Windows if I need to use Premiere or something like that. I have been using Flowblade in Linux quite a bit. It's good, but it's not perfect. Coming from a Premiere workflow standpoint, it's just some things are more difficult than they should be or take much longer than they should. It's not that I can't work with it, it's just there's really not a good replacement for Premiere except for maybe DaVinci Resolve, which I will try out as well. But I've used DaVinci Resolve in the past, but I've had weird hardware incompatibility issues with it. But I do run weird hardware, as you can see. But yeah, that's really the only thing I've done to it, is I stuck this video card in here, and I've got my 2 SSDs set up and ready to go for... I'm pretty much just going to boot straight into these as soon as I get the additional CPUs and RAM in here. So we do only have a single CPU installed right now. It's actually, I think it's a 2603 V3, which is basically the worst CPU that this thing supports natively. So that's fun. I just had one laying around, actually, was the CPU that guy there, which is our little dedicated Minecraft server. That's what that had in it. It was an X99 board and came with one of those installed. That promptly got ripped out and replaced with a 1650 V3, and then I overclocked the snot out of it. So good single core performance for not a lot of money. But I don't know if I think I showed before, but this cooling system here is insane. But ooh, let's see if I can pull it out one-handed. Not easily. I'm probably gonna drop this and break it. That'd be great. There we go. So you got your 2 standard little tower coolers in here, but you'll notice that where's the fans? Bueller, they're not there. There's nothing there. They're not behind it or anything. That's just all fin stack. They're not humongous, but these heat pipes are. That's like an 8mm heat pipe, or maybe larger. Quite big. The ones behind it are more of a standard size, just that front heat pipe. That one's a really big one. But yeah, there's no fans in there. I mean, there's other fans in the case, like in the back here and stuff. But all the cooling assembly is in this shroud. This is kind of insane. And you can see just the sheer number of squirrel cage fans we've got going on here. There's 3 squirrel cages. There's a little AVC downdraft fan there. And then we've got these 2 angled ones that mesh up with these 2 coolers perfectly. I did take the time to blow all this out with the air compressor. There was a little bit of dust in it, and there's still a little bit of like a residue on things, but it's much, much cleaner. I don't really have a problem running it like this, so I'm probably not going to do a whole lot more to clean it out. I did discover this guy comes loaded with the 1250 watt power supply, so this, I believe, has the top of the line power supply for this model, so I should have no trouble loading it up with multiple of the high-end CPUs in here, along with potentially multiple GPUs. But for the time being, considering that we have basically, well, no GPU market to speak of, there's just no way to really buy a GPU for a reasonable price right now, and I refuse to pay more than MSRP for a card. We will be using the GTX 980, which can still provide a fair bit of performance for GPU encoding in Premiere and things like that. So definitely usable. Over here we got our standard 3.5-inch bays. There's 4 of those. I'm not sure if I'm going to put anything in there or not. I could potentially put some just standard spinning drives in there, or maybe a couple of my Western Digital Velociraptors. Those are kind of just sitting. I was playing around with some Chia mining, using those as the actual quote-unquote SSDs, because normally you would mine using an SSD, because it's a lot quicker to do the whole pool generation, whatnot. But I was playing around with those because I could get them for next to nothing, and well, it didn't burn them up like it does with SSDs. So, but now they're just laying around doing nothing. I could potentially put 4 of those in there in like a RAID or something, but there's really not much of a point when I have a pair of LSI warp drives, which are industrial class SSDs that basically have enough write spec to last an entire lifetime of writing. Like, these things will probably outlive me. Other than that, I want to add a card reader up front here. Yeah, this is a bit disgusting. A lot of cables just kind of hanging out there, but that's where the cables for my little SSD fans plug in. I want to add a card reader to it so I can just bounce footage off of an SD card into it. Most of my footage just comes off of an iPhone 11 because I am thrifty like that, and the camera on my phone is, well, perfectly cromulent, so that's what you get. Oh, and the microphone doesn't sound too horrible either, so it's called a mix of cheap and lazy. But hey, for now it's working, so I tend to just take the footage straight off my phone onto my file server over Wi-Fi, and then pull it off of there over the network and edit from that, which seems to work reasonably well. I would like more local, just be able to take like an SD card out, whack it in the computer, and dump my footage that way. But that's, well, that's something for future me to worry about. So right now this is working, so I'm going to stick with it. So yeah, anyway, that's the Z840. Just a quick little look at it. Not a whole lot I can do with it at the moment, except stare at it in awe. It is quite the pretty system. Really, I love these things. I'm probably going to have to go in here, and I really need to tidy that up because I can't stand having loose cables, especially even just like the SATA cable just kind of flopping around in here. I don't like that. I'm going to go in there and tidy all that up, especially because they've got like all this bundled up real nicely in the bottom. Oh, one other thing I did notice that was really cool on here. So for their GPU power cables, they have these little slots back here. If you have one that you're not using, you can pop it out and plug it right there, and it keeps it all tucked away. Let's see, there's another one down there. I just thought that was really clever. It's just a simple little thing, but like it's really thoughtful. Like, oh, well, that just keeps the cables all kind of bundled up in the corner there, so they're not getting in fans or anything. It's a thoughtful thing. Yeah, I love that. I see why the engineer left their little Easter egg on the side panel. Thank you, MJ, whoever you are. I like your design. I'm assuming you are the engineer behind this project, so much appreciation, you know, from 4 years into the future from when this thing was created, and after it's already obsolete. But hey, that's what we do here. We work with obsolete tech. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a comment down in the comment section if there's anything you want to ask me about or anything you'd like to comment on. That's how comment sections work. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye for now.